This is, as I said, the regular meeting of the Ways and Means Committee, and let's begin with the roll call. So, Representative Black.
Representative Black, present.
Representative Brooks.
Representative Brooks, present.
Representative Hines.
I'm present.
Representative Waterman.
Representative Waterman is present.
And I am Representative Hartwell, and I'm here. And I want to say thank you to Peter Black for joining us from Spain. So thank you for making some time in the middle of the night, which is much appreciated. Okay. So we have a lot of items on the agenda tonight. We heard all of these in committee last month. We had full discussions where that was appropriate. I have not invited or requested that people show up tonight to talk about it because I think we had enough information then to make some decisions. I did send an email around to the committee members prior to the meeting tonight saying that there will be some motions around the contingency fund, which is well down the list. But other than that, I'm not aware of any special exemptions to what we have already seen in committee last month. So if that's okay with everyone, we'll start with the Brantford Cable Television. I will note that all of the page numbers that are shown on the agenda are linked back to the Board of Finance recommended budget, not the one which was proposed. And so some of those page numbers have changed. And I'm happy to help people if they have a problem with that. So the very first item on the agenda is Brantford Cable Television. It's on page 28 of the recommended budget. I think it's also on page 28 of the former one. And I guess what's most helpful is that I tell you what is in this cable television. The requested amount is $27,923 total for the department, which is $12,173 more than was for last year. That's a 77.3% change. Do we have a motion for this?
Mr. Chairman, this is Representative Black. For purposes of efficiency, I'd like to approach this the way that we do the budget meeting. And I'd make a motion to approve all of the budgets under our purview as recommended by the Board of Finance. And if we get a second, then we can make any adjustments, such as discuss the one-by-one adjustments to any particular budgets. So that would be my motion, is that we approve our committee's budgets as recommended by the Board of Finance.
Second, Representative Hines will second that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded by Mr. Black and seconded by Mr. Hines that we accept all of the recommended budget numbers in one swell swoop. Excuse me for just a second. Looks like the first selectman is about to join the meeting. And someone on iPhone, which I'm not sure who that is. So let me just check here. So first selectman Cosgrove seems to have joined the meeting. And someone on iPhone. On iPhone, could you identify yourself, please?
Hey, John. This is Jamie Cosgrove.
Hey, Jamie. How are you? Thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, leaving the community center. I'm sorry. I missed that. It was virtual.
No, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
All right. We have one other person who's just joined on iPhone, and I'm asking that person identify themselves so we know who this is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, John.
It's Frank.
Yeah. It's the RTM clerk,
yes.
Frank Chohill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. I appreciate your joining us and identifying yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, sir.
And thank you also, Jamie, for joining us. I was about to take us through a one-by-one consideration of the various items in the budget book because we have already talked about all of them in the April meeting. Mr. Black has made a motion and Representative Hines has seconded it that we, in general, accept all of the recommendations in one go. And then if we have areas where we want to have a discussion and a change, that we actually do that. So we have a motion and a second. Can I have discussion from the Ways and Means Committee?
Representative Brooks, I would like to propose I am in agreement with the process in which Representative Black has put forward. I would like to make an amendment. I would like to make two amendments. I guess I'll make one at a time.
Okay, I'm going to have to, this Representative Black, Josh, as you know, I'm going to have to shut myself off for the part-time salary
So
increase.
this one, you can just put yourself on mute or something.
Yep.
So the first amendment that I'm going to introduce is going to be for increase to all part-time hourly employees and board. What is the word I'm looking for? Board clerks from the budgeted. I want to say it's 2.25 to 3% raise, rather than going through all the individual line items and adding it to them. It was suggested by the Director of Finance to just take 10,000 from contingency and put 10,000 into salary pool incentive line, which is, I believe, a new line. Obviously, my justification is that I want to see the part-time people and the board clerks get a 3% raise. I did the math again, and the only thing that I wasn't able to do specifically was the part-time people for Blackstone. So I estimated that, and this is just an information piece, by the way. I estimated that at $1,200 based on the Willoughby Wallace, I believe was like $850. And the total I came with, because they aren't listed individually, I don't believe it's 100% accurate, but my total came to $12,050. So 12,012 actually.
Okay,
so I feel like 10,000 is more than is a positive way for human resources to add that to 3% for those employees. And if it's short, I'm sure that next fiscal year we can find the short amount. So I put that amendment in the form of a motion.
Okay, so Josh, let me ask you if we could step back from your motion for a moment, please. Because I think what Representative Black was trying to do was streamline the entire process.
No. He cannot. He is recusing himself from this amendment. So
Josh, I'm sorry. Can I finish, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So I think that Representative Black is trying to streamline the entire process. And as far as I am aware, there is no discussion needed on any other line item other than contingency, which is where yours is coming in. So if Representative Black's proposal could be tailored to everything except contingency, we could then vote on all of the other items, take them off the table, and then come back for a one-on-one, one-by-one discussion of the 4 items that are around contingency. Would you accept that?
Are you? There's a motion on the floor to do it all.
Right,
So
I
I
understand
don't
that. And
see
so I'm
why.
gonna ask, I wanted first of all to see if you would be okay with that, and then I'm going to go back to Representative Black and ask him to restate his motion to take contingency out. But I just wanted to make sure that met your requirements.
I think you have to start with him.
Okay. Peter, can you come back on, please?
Yeah, hi, this is Representative Black. I'm trying, obviously I can't find it, but as far as my motion, yeah, my intent was that we can discuss these one by one if we want to just, it's 2 different roads to the same destination.
So what I
I
would
mean,
like to
my
hear,
intent was the way that Josh has been doing it, which is, just one by one on each of these changes to contingency.
exactly. But your motion was to accept all of them, and so what I'm saying is,
That's right, with the expectation that there would be motions to amend my motion, which is what I think Josh is trying to say, that he wants to amend my motion.
so if you can restate your motion, not emotion, to take out contingency.
I'll withdraw my motion then, if that's the way the chairman wants.
I think that's clean.
I'll just make a motion to approve all the budgets as presented, with the exception of contingency, unless somebody wants to make an amendment for something other than that.
Representative Hines, are you still in wanting to second that motion?
Second that motion.
Thank you so much. Now, can we have discussion on accepting, as recommended by the Board of Finance, all of the budget items within our purview except for contingency? Does anyone have anything they want to say on that? Who is on the board? Okay, hearing none, I'll throw it open to our numerous guests. Is there anyone there who wants to have something to say from the RTM or from First Selectman Cosgrove on the motion to accept all of the recommended items from the Board of Finance other than the contingency item?
I have nothing else to add. It's fine. However you want to handle it, however the committee wants to handle it, it's fine.
Thank you. So hearing no other further discussion, I'd like to have a vote. All of those who are in favor of accepting all of the recommended.
It needs to be a roll call vote.
Yes, it does. All of those who are in favor will say aye, and those who are opposed will say no. So Representative Black.
Representative Black votes yes.
Representative Brooks.
Representative Brooks votes yes.
Representative Hines.
Hines votes yes.
Representative Waterman.
Representative Waterman votes yes.
And Representative Hartwell votes yes. So 5-0, we will accept all of those except the contingency items. So let me put up on my screen here so people can see what the 4 items are. Hello, share.
Okay. Again, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that they be dealt with separately so
Absolutely.
that I can.
Absolutely. No, I intend to have. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So let me see if I can get this up on the screen so everyone can see what we're talking about. And my computer is going, not today. Sorry about the delay here. There we go. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so there are 4 separate items where the
Point of order.
yes.
We need a vote on to accept the I'll make a motion to accept the contingency as presented from the Board of Finance.
This Representative Black, I'll second that motion.
Okay,
Now discussion.
Now we can have amendments, and we can take these as an amendment one at a time.
okay. So let me give you a little bit of background here and in general, and then we can discuss them individually. So the 10,000 is that which Josh was discussing a few moments ago, having to do with his part-time workers. Willoughby Wallace Library, this was passed in the Education Committee to put $2,000 more into communications for the library, and with the desire to take it out of contingency, which is why we're talking about it tonight. The tax collector, as some know, there was a request by the tax collector for $100,000 in a capital item to redo the office space. This has now been scaled down to $15,000 for consulting to do a study that's going to focus on ADA as well as other security issues. And finally, as I think we know, the first selectman is not running, and he hasn't had a salary increase since 2015. If he were to have had a salary increase and it was in the budget, that there would be a shortfall. I have worked with the finance office on a prorated amount of money for 2025, 2026 to start in November. So it won't affect the current first selectman's salary. But we need to, if we're going to do this, which passed last night unanimously in the admin committee, for a total of $135,000 a year, there's an $18,235 shortfall for the next budget year. And so that would come out of contingency. All of these dollar numbers are coming out of contingency if we go that way tonight, and the total would be $45,235 taken out of contingency. So, Josh, I think you're up first.
I'd like to make an amendment
yes.
to the contingency fund. As I stated my reasons before, I'd like to take from contingency 10,000 to salary pool incentive for 10,000 for the under the guise that we give all hourly part-time employees a 3% raise, as well as board clerks.
Right. Do I have a second?
And I put that in the form of a motion.
Do I have a second on that amendment?
I will second it.
Thank you.
Representative Waterman.
Thank you, Representative Waterman. Can I have discussion amongst the Ways and Means Committee?
Gentlemen, this is Chris. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Hines. I got a question for Josh. Did the part-time people solicit this, or is this just something that you think should be done?
Nobody has solicited me in my 53 years of life. But no, this was born out of, this started, believe it or not, for me at the presentation of the BCTV budget, and I noticed that they were getting that the individuals were getting a 2.25% increase, as I understood it, and I felt, as I have stated in the past at public meetings, that we should do better by our employees and try to, if where possible, give them a 3% increase. So I then went and did all the math for each department. There was, if I'm being honest, there was a couple that I didn't get, and I've said it before, Blackstone, but I figured it against Willoughby Wallace. Inland wetlands and IT, they were seasonal, so I wasn't really sure. So I did not figure them in. So when I multiplied the two, though the seasonal part-time and clerk things by how I did my math was I just multiplied the increase for the most part. This isn't true for everything, but for the most part, I multiplied the increase that they already were scheduled to get by 0.008. So that's where I got that number from. And my math totaled 12,012. But it was suggested to me that some of the accounts would probably have a little excess that they could cover it, as well as, for example, the rec department seasonal part-time, it's not applicable across the board. And that would have been the largest of the increases. So that's where I came up with the number of 10,000.
And you worked those numbers through with the finance department.
I did not. I used my budget book. That's my purview, and that's what I did.
Okay. Any other discussion from the Ways and Means Committee? Hearing none. Any discussion from our RTM guests or from the first selectman?
No, thank you.
Okay, hearing none, I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor of this amendment that will take $10,000 out of contingency and put it into a fund that was actually indicated by the finance director that could then fund the salary increase for part-time people, please say aye. So Representative Black? Peter, are you with us?
Representative Black has recused himself from the vote as he is part of the
You're
amendment.
right. I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right, because he's in the he is covered in this. So my mistake. So Representative Brooks.
Representative Brooks votes yes.
Representative Hines.
Hines abstains.
Hines abstains. Representative Waterman.
Representative Waterman votes yes.
And Representative Hartwell votes yes. So we have 3 yes. We have 1 abstain and 1 recuse. Okay, so this amendment passes. Thank you very much. Let's
I would also, if it pleases the chairperson, I will also make an amendment for 2,000 to come from contingency for and to go into the Willoughby Wallace Library Communications account, as I was on the education committee. Just a little background. This came because the new director, who's very new, changed. Somebody's going to correct me because I'm going to misstate it, but she changed over from one internet carrier to another, and didn't understand that wasn't fully aware that she would have to pay for the second internet as well as the phone. So this is to cover those expenses. So I put that in a form of a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it. This is Representative Black.
Thank you. Any discussion on this?
Representative Brooks here. I will add a little bit of for transparency reasons. I will add, this was suggested by the director of finance. In his email, his request was that 1,000 came from contingency and 1,000 came from library books and materials account. I at the education committee and on that vote, when I presented this motion there, my reasoning for all of contingency was that this is a necessity that is really out of the control to some extent of the library. And 1,000, she had already taken 1,000 out of her request for this year, thinking that she not realizing that she had to pay for the internet. So, and I may be not giving her enough credit. So it was my decision at that time to take it all out of contingency, full disclosure.
And that's what was recommended by the education committee.
Correct.
Yeah. Any other discussion on this $2,000? Anything from our guests this evening on the Willoughby Wallace Library amounts?
Yeah. No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Toohill. So can I get a vote, please? Representative Black?
Representative Black votes yes.
Representative Brooks?
Representative Brooks votes yes.
Representative Hines?
Yes.
Representative Waterman?
Representative Waterman votes yes.
And Representative Hartwell votes yes. So we are in agreement. Thank you so much. The third item here is the tax collector's office. I'm actually the one who has put this forward, so I'll speak to it. I have seen documentation from the tax collector's office that there is a substantial amount of work that needs to be done. It is backed up with an evaluation by our police department saying that it would be very useful to make some changes there. There are also some ADA components to this. Originally, in the capital budget, the tax collector had a quote for $106,000, I think it was. He put in for $100,000. It was the entire amount was deleted by the Board of Finance. I feel strongly that we should be supporting the tax collector's office. It is a major hub, especially when people are coming in to pay their taxes. And so I've come to an agreement amongst a group of us that we should put $15,000 into a consulting budget for the tax collector, who could then go out and get a more robust assessment of what needs to be done. And then once that's done, could possibly come back and ask for money to carry out the project. So I will put in the form of a motion that we move $15,000 out of the contingency budget and put it into tax collection, into a consulting area for the tax collecting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Do I have discussion on the board?
So, a question, John, Representative Waterman. So was it partly denied by the Board of Finance because they wanted the assessment, or is this, so how will the assessment help? In a way, what is it bringing that may help get approval going forward? Or is it just to keep things moving?
In the public meeting of the Board of Finance, which I attended, there was no discussion in that meeting of why they had taken the money out. There were two items in the capital area that concerned us. One was this $100,000 for the tax collector. The other was $50,000 for Parks and Rec vehicle. And basically it was announced that neither of those was going forward. So I don't know why the Board of Finance took the money out. I am hopeful that a formal study with ADA and security as the focus will come with a decision that, not a decision, but a recommendation that some changes need to be made. So I worked with Bob Imperato, talked with him several times about this. He would be very happy to have this consulting money, and he feels that this is something that is necessary for his department. So that's as much as I know.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other discussion from board members, committee
This
members?
is Representative Black.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily opposed to this, but I'd like to see it go through a more regular process where we have the documentation in front of us and we can see it. So tonight I'll be voting against it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do have documentation that I did not circulate, and I perhaps should have done. One of which was a security assessment by the police department, which was very much in favor of doing something. But I understand your position. Anyone else? Any other discussion from the committee members? Hearing none, I'll throw it open to our guests this evening. Not hearing a request for consulting, I call for a vote. Representative Black?
Representative Black votes no.
Representative Brooks?
Representative Brooks votes yes.
Representative Hines?
Representative Hines votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Waterman?
Representative Waterman votes yes.
And Representative Hartwell votes yes. So we have 4 yes and 1 no, which is Representative Black. Thank you so much. Moving on to the final item here. We were all, I think, surprised to hear that the first selectman is not seeking re-election. And in the Board of Finance meeting, he had said that as he had normally done, and my understanding since 2015, was not taking a salary increase in that budget. So the budget was passed without a salary increase for the first selectman. There was the regular budgeted amount for the first selectman, which is, I'm understanding, around $105,000. We also have a state statute which says that elected officials have to have their salary set every 2 years before they take office. And so what we're doing tonight, if we do this, will not affect our current first selectman, but will be put in place for whomever takes his role. I worked with the finance office on this number. We're looking at a difference between $105,000 now in rough numbers and $135,000 annual if we went back to 2015 and applied a 2.25% increase year over year. So those are the numbers that I've been given. And what we're looking at here, this $18,235, is in fact a prorated amount to begin the 1st of November or at the beginning of the term, which is close enough to the 1st of November, and run through the remainder of the 2025-2026 fiscal year. So that's where we get the $18,235. So this number, the 135 number, as a new annual salary for the first selectman, for the next first selectman, was discussed and approved last night in the admin committee. And it is up to us to fund it from contingency because it's not in the budget. And of course, we can't increase the budget. So the idea is to take the 18,235 out of contingency and put it into the executive regular wages, regular salary and wages. So,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
somebody needs to mute. So that's where we are. And can I have a motion?
This is Representative Black. I'll move in favor. I'm certainly in favor of the concept. I think this is something that we should have been doing all along. The idea is that you post a salary, it's a job before the election, so that people know what they could expect. It shouldn't be dependent on the incumbents wanting or not wanting a salary. The only comment I'll make is that the 2.5% is in excess of many of the union wage increases throughout that period. But I think nonetheless, it brings the salary up to something close to where it should be, and it's comparable to some of the other department head salaries. So I'll make a motion that we approve this as presented.
Do I have a second?
Hines seconds.
Thank you. Do I have discussion?
John, can I just, the first selectman, Jamie Cosgrove?
Absolutely. I was going to call on you, Jamie, just as soon as I made sure there
Okay.
wasn't any other discussion from members of the committee, but I'm happy to bring you in. So please give us your thoughts.
Yeah, if there's no other comments from the committee members, I just wanted to let the committee know, and I believe, John, in your explanation, you may have said that this was the 2.25% compounded, but as Pete Black pointed out, it was.
I heard 2.5%. Jamie.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure, because I did run the way this was the concept, or how the approach we took when I presented to the admin services meeting last night. I ran three scenarios. One, if it was just a 2%, 100%, and 2.5%. The committee then elected to take the higher end at the 2.5%. Now,
Okay.
over that period of time, look back, I just know none of the other, and I really looked at the other elected full-time employees, the tax collector and the tax collector and town clerk, who, as we know, neither are elected anymore. However, traditionally, we always kind of followed the unaffiliated department heads, the increases, and they did range from anywhere from 2% up to, as is before you this fiscal year, is a 2.75. So that's how we kind of rate.
Okay. Thank you. I
Choose to 2.5.
mistaken then. Any other thoughts from members of the committee?
This is Representative Brooks. I will abstain from.
Okay. Well, we'll hear that in a moment. What's your reason for abstaining, Mr. Brooks? Do you have a reason? Do you want to talk about or not?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go outside the committee, and Representative Everson has her hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to point out, you mentioned the $135,000. The actual amount is $135,412.
Right. I'm
So
sorry. I was dealing in rough numbers.
just for the purpose of exactitude,
Mhm.
I just wanted to point that out. But it was voted unanimously out of admin last night.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much. I was dealing in round numbers. As the 105,000, I think the current salary is also a round number. It's not precise. I just wanted to give people some order of magnitude here. So Any other comments by our guests?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, hearing none, I'd like to take a vote. Representative Black,
Representative Black votes yes.
Representative Brooks,
Representative Brooks abstains.
Representative Hines,
Votes yes.
Representative Waterman,
Representative Waterman votes yes.
and Representative Hartwell votes yes as well. So we have 4 and 1 abstain. Okay, and that's Josh. Okay, so we have on the table an overarching contingency motion from Josh, seconded by Peter, that we accept the contingency budget. I'm assuming now that we're talking about accepting the contingency budget as amended through all of these 4 votes that we've taken tonight. Is everyone comfortable with that? That we have that? We already have that motion and that second.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the committee? Is there any discussion from our guests?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Representative Toohill. So on the motion of accepting the contingency budget as amended, which will in fact decrease contingency by $45,235 and move that money to 4 different areas of the budget. When I've got all the account numbers, but I think those are not necessary at this point. It's salary pool, incentive pay, and human resources. It's communications budget and Willoughby Wallace Library. It's a consulting budget for the tax collector, and it's regular salary and wages in the executive. So can I get a vote on this particular item, please? Representative Black.
Representative Black abstains.
Abstains. Representative Brooks.
I guess Representative Brooks has to abstain too.
Okay. Representative Hines.
Representative Hines abstains.
Okay. Representative Waterman.
Representative Waterman votes yes.
And Representative Hartwell votes yes. And that brings us to a very difficult place because we have voted for 4 different amendments to the contingency budget, but we do not have a majority in favor of accepting the contingency budget.
Representative Hartwell?
Yes.
This is Representative Ingraham.
Representative
I was just thinking about what you're just discussing. But since you have a quorum, you don't need the majority of people voted in the affirmative. You have a quorum in the room that could have voted.
This is true.
The motion passes. This Representative Black, the motion passes.
Excellent. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
There are more yays than nays.
There was definitely more yays than nays. So it's 2-0 and 3 abstain. And
Perfect.
okay.
Try to explain that on Tuesday.
This is I'm not a parliamentarian by any means. All right. So that takes care of the second item on our agenda, which was the proposed budgets. Item number 3 on the agenda is any other business. Is there any other business that anyone wishes to bring forward from the committee? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Representative Black.
I'm sorry, was that me, Mr. Hines?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, I'll put you in first place here, and I'll make Mr. Black the seconder. Then, can I have a vote? Representative Black.
Representative Black votes aye.
Representative Brooks.
Representative Brooks votes aye.
Representative Hines,
I vote yes.
Representative Waterman,
Representative Waterman votes yes.
and Representative Hartwell votes yes. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. I appreciate all of the interest. I definitely appreciate Representative Black showing up from Spain. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Madrid.
Thank you.
And I'll let everybody know where we stand on this. So thanks very much again to everyone.